Welcome to the Gentleman's Talk, where the podcast talks about a man's battle with mental health, his personal experiences, and his journey to be a better soul. Hosted by James Dean Littlejohn.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Gentleman's Talk. All I'm going to say is woof. That's all I'm going to say. Woof. What a fucking week. And I have to start with that because I didn't really know, if I'm brutally honest, how I was going to approach this podcast. Noting that the last couple of podcasts have been a bit of a difficult one for me. And it's still difficult times for me. I'm not going to lie to you. And I've got a little bit of a scenario, something to talk about actually. And this is going to be, it's going to be close. It's going to be close to me personally. So it's, it's just something that can even strike you, even when you don't think it struck you before. But it's also, at the same time, I want to talk about it because it just sort of highlights that, you know, if we don't talk about these things, do they just become the norm? They possibly do. So, but anyway, before I get into that, hi, hope you're all right. Hope you're doing okay. And I'm talking to people that I speak to regular, and people that are listening to this. I just genuinely hope you're okay. I've been reflecting quite a bit the last week or so. Obviously, the absolute devastating news that's in my house, which is still currently in my house. And hopefully I'll be able to talk about that at some point. But there's a lot going on at the moment, so I can't really divulge too much. But it is pretty crippling. I'm not going to lie to you. It's pretty crippling. It's certainly news that is testing my mental health. And I've just noticed, like this weekend, I've had a weekend on my own, which is a bit of an unusual thing. Like I said, my wife went away. She's gone up to see a friend with the kids, and so I had a weekend because I was stayed back with the dogs. He was like, "Why didn't you go?" Well, I've got a fucking 43-kilogram German Shepherd, so he's not the easiest to transport, and I've got two little Shih Tzus as well. So, actually, one Shih Tzu and one Shorkie. So I've got with the three kids, with the three dogs, with me and the missus. It's easier for me to just stay back and relax. However, it would have normally been an okay scenario, but obviously, given the news that's currently in my head at the moment, it's difficult to relax. It's difficult to get regular sleep. It's difficult to get any sleep, if I'm brutally honest. So it's certainly testing me, even more so. So as you know, there's devastating news, and there's a few people that know about this close to me, and obviously my the news is sort of spread around the group, if you like, the younger group in the family. So my daughters and things like that. So, but anyway, this news is family known. So it's everyone's looking after us and everyone's being really good. However, just before they went away, so last Thursday, noticeably, I've been a little bit frustrated. I've been a little bit agitated at best. That's probably the easiest way to describe it. I've been a bit on edge. Coiled spring. There's so many things you can say. And so last Thursday night, I was a bit tired, I took Friday and the Monday off, so I had a day either side of the weekend, just to kind of relax and make sure that I didn't really want to be pressured with work. I just wanted to be honest, I wanted to go out and do some things. I didn't end up doing those things. I ended up actually on the Friday. So before I get into the scenario, actually, Friday, then I slept during the day on and off. I've noticed because I've not been getting regular sleep, I'm just kind of catnapping, and I've got to be cautious of that because it does get, you've got to be careful you don't get into a routine of doing that. I'm just not getting solid sleep. But I know this will subside. The more I talk about it, the more I deal with it, the more I reflect and stuff like that. It does get easier, and the proof's in the pudding there. So, if you reflect and deal with your situations and talk about it, it does get better. Trust me, it does. So anyway, I just kind of planned the weekend. So I had a bit of a relaxing weekend, but it wasn't relaxing for me. It wasn't what I wanted. But Friday, they went away. And there was a little bit of a heated discussion in the morning between myself and my wife. And that was developing because my daughter came down, and she had a burn mark on her arm, and a considerable burn mark. And I'm not talking like a cigarette burn or something like that. It was an actual, it was the size of a pound coin, and it was ruffled on the edges, blistered, and I was just a bit I was a bit upset. So naturally I said, what the fuck is that? What's going on here? And, transpired that she'd been burnt by a family member. Somebody thought it was funny, a young boy thought it was hilariously funny to burn my daughter to the point where she's probably scarred. So I naturally went ballistic at this, and it transpired a little bit of a difficult situation for me, that I was seen as the bad person in this scenario. And I spoke about this since, I have had a discussion. And I did. I felt like I was the bad person for being protective over my daughter and getting frustrated, knowing that I've got 3 bits of bad news in the last. And I'm hoping that that's it, because they say things come in threes. So I'm really hoping this is the last bit of bad news, as I can try and continue my journey to being a better person. And anyway, so I got a little bit heated because I wanted to obviously kill this boy, metaphorically speaking, figuratively speaking, that's the one I'm looking for. And so I kind of was getting a bit upset, and everyone planed it down a little bit, and everyone kind of just dulled it down and said it was, I'm getting angry, and why am I getting angry? This is you, this is always you, you're always getting angry. And that's kind of the way the rhetoric went of the conversation. So, and ultimately, they all ended up getting in the car and driving off without saying goodbye to me. So I felt like I was the ogre here. I was like, well, I'm genuinely getting upset. I've been on this planet for almost 41 years, and I've never, ever, ever had somebody physically hurt me to that. Obviously, you do get hurt by your friends here and there. We make mistakes, obviously. But this was this isn't a mistake. This is deliberate, grievous bodily harm. So he'd done it with a jet fuel lighter. So, they're instant fucking flame, not the stupid little Zippo, not the Zippos or the stupid little zip lighters or whatever they're called. The little ones. This was a proper fuel lighter. So you click it and out comes, this is the sort of shit you use to fucking take on operations and shit with. So, and it played it down as an accident, and it was an accident. And I couldn't fucking get there. I went ballistic, and I was seen as the ogre of it. And I was seen as the bad person. And that didn't sit right with me this weekend. That played on my mind, as well as the emotions of dealing with everything else. I just kind of went, and I did, I did say something I shouldn't have said in the heat of the argument, which, I can't help. That's the way my mind goes into overdrive, and it kind of just thinks of the easiest way to fucking insult people and make them feel small. And I don't like doing that. It gets my point across with fucking passion. That's the problem. But my passion can be seen as, quite a negative standpoint for some people. So I have to be careful of that. So I was mindful of that. Anyway, I've chewed on that all weekend. But it was an interesting scenario that even though in this situation I shouldn't have been seen as the ogre, and I have got a past of being angry and saying hurtful things, and I have got a past of that. And again, that was chucked back in my face again today, saying, oh, you do this, you've done it before, you said things nasty when you're angry. And I kind of went, well, are we holding on to the past? I thought we dealt with this 7 months ago and we were moving forward. So there was a lot of emotions that have come up this afternoon whilst we were discussing this. But it was just weird how, even though I'm trying to just be, you have to understand that I'm just trying to be a good father. I'm just trying to be a good brother, a good son, a good husband. I'm just trying to be the best I can be, a good employee. I'm just trying to be the best I can. Yes, I make mistakes. Yes, I do get over emotional. But in this situation, knowing what my family's going through, and because the family is predominantly women and I'm the only man, I feel very, very isolated. And that's because I've got these emotions, and it's really hard for me to talk about them. And people, I think the household's very easy. When you're a frustrated man, and if I could give you the full news, you'd understand. But just let me just tell you, it's bad news, okay? So it's fucking terrible, terrible fucking news. That's all I can say. And, it's not the same type of thing that anyone wants to fucking hear. So for me to deal with that, and whilst I'm trying to deal with that and work and, raise a fucking family and then protect my family. This happens by a family member 3 days after, or less than a week after I find out, other things. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on in this world? And then I'm seen as the bad guy. And then it's chucked back in my face today when I'm laying down rules in the house. And I'm like, I just want a bit of respect back. And it's kind of, I'm the one that they all drove off and didn't say goodbye to me from. Like I'd done something wrong. And that is when, men get fucking crushed. That's when a man can be physically crushed. Because you're like, well, my sole purpose, one of the sole purposes to a man is to protect. Whether you like it, and we talk about Christ knows what, gender equality. We talk about fucking, the pay gaps and gender pay gaps and all this sort of shit is going on in the fucking background. Okay. But when you get down to the fucking nitty gritty of shit and, and we put aside the power trip in the fucking office, I get that, the women want to rise up and all that sort of stuff. I completely understand it. I get it. We're moving on as society, but what you have done at the moment is you're almost, society's almost emasculating men so much. Our only sole fucking function that we were ever raised, you go back to evolution, you go right back to caveman fucking times. We're all designed, men are designed to protect and hunt. That's what we're designed to do. And that's what I like doing. I like protecting and I like hunting and I like nurturing. That's why I feel I'm a good leader, is because I'm interested in everyone else's success. And I will just take whatever success I get off of the success that I've helped nurture in the team around me. And that's enough for me because everything's a team aspect. But I also like to hunt. I like the thrill, the adrenaline, and I like to protect. I am a fucking protector. If you are in my bubble of protection, or you are a close friend of mine in this bubble, I will 100% drop anything to fucking make sure you're okay. That is why to get into my sacred bubble is hard work. And if you abuse that and lose it, then that's fine. You just move out. It's one less person for me to worry about. But I don't want that. So I kind of nurture that. So when you take away that protection factor, which is inherently what we're doing now, because men are seen as ogres, men are seen as angry. You can't do this to, you can't let a man do that, this, that, and the other. So when you're taking away that protection factor from me, and making me feel bad because I'm getting angry at a situation that should never have happened, where, a boy has, set light almost to my daughter's fucking skin. And I don't understand where in humanity that is acceptable. But I was seen as the ogre, so I found this a very difficult situation. And I have dwelled on it excessively over the weekend. And amongst other things, reflection is a really good tool, and mental health is horrible. Okay, I get that. Mental health is an horrendous thing to endure, to have. And I think we all go through, every single person, despite your, your gender, your fucking whatever you identify as, male, female, whatever, we'll all experience some sort of mental health. There will be a situation where we'll be stressed. Now, we can all play it down and we can all say, mental health's not me. I won't get mental health. I said that. Fuck me. I said that 10, 11 years ago. I'll never get mental health. People said it to me whilst I was diagnosed with depression and PTSD. They were like, nah, not James. Because that's what people perceive me as. The strong one. The one that just, doesn't fucking let it. So it fucking can. It will. And there'll be somebody on this call that's either experiencing it or has experienced it, or even has experienced it on a small scale. I know I've spoken to friends. I've got a friend of mine that goes through their own little rocky up and downs, but it's not depression. He just finds his a little bit of a loss at times, and I can relate fully to that. I relate fully to my friend that's understanding that, excuse me, he has good weeks, he has bad weeks. He has good days, he has bad days. We all have good days and bad days. That's not depression. That is just whatever path you're on at the moment. You're either not doing enough to make yourself happy, or the other way is, you haven't got enough opportunity. There's another way of looking at it. Wait for the opportunity to come along. We can make opportunity happen, but sometimes it's nice when it comes along, unidentified, so to speak. And there is a level, and I can talk quite openly about this because I've experienced it. I've experienced what stress is. I know I stress like crazy. I know I do. I try not to, and I get very emotional, which activates my stress receptors. So I do know that, and that is inherently what I do. I've heard about today that my boss, for instance, sent me an email telling me that I've got more workload to do and something that's outside of my TORs. So terms of reference, if anyone doesn't know what TOR is. So I've been sat on that for 3 hours wanting to switch my computer on to reply to him to say, you don't change my TORs without a discussion. I even know the Health and Safety at Work Act that you're supposed to do that, whether that's part of, to making sure that we talk to people. So, and make sure we talk to employees prior to setting new responsibilities, etc., especially if it affects their planning or their finances. So there you go. So I've been sat on that though, so I know I deal with stress because I'm stressing about this, and I know now that I'm trying to not stress about it by reflecting on it and understand it. So I don't go into work tomorrow at 7:30 and go and type like that keyboard fucking warrior, telling him to fucking jog on. I need to calm down and pull my away from the situation. But I stressed about that, so I know what stress is like. I know what depression's like. I've been depressed. I've been fucking heavily angry. I've been to the point where I've lost years of my life because I can't remember them because they were just a dark, depressive day. And the only times I do really remember over the last few years are either the really, really highs, which were like, I'd done something out the norm, or I'd been to a water park or done something. I'll remember those because my adrenaline was high. Or the extreme lows where, again, my adrenaline was high because I didn't want to be here. But if you ask me the middle ground, that little grey area of life, I couldn't tell you what I'd done. It's only since I've grasped things and gone, fucking change the way you work, James, that I'm making a difference. But it was interesting how, like I said, I digress, but I go back to that scenario and I talk about just how I was sat there in my own living room. I had one daughter crying when I set these rules, one laughing, basically, I assume because she was hysterical because I'd made these rules and she thought it was hilarious that I could do this. And then I kind of looked at her and went, I can, this is my fucking house. And, and I looked around and I got very, I didn't want to be that person, but I was like, if you want me to be the angry fucking ogre, you want me to be the one that sets rules, which I've never done, I've stepped back and taken away from it. You want to treat me with no respect and you want to ignore me and not make me feel like I'm part of it, then, I'll change the rules. If you don't like the rules, I can go. It's not a problem. I'll fucking go. If it makes your life miserable, me being here, vice versa, then that's life, isn't it? You don't want to sit around and piss people off. But at the same time, you need that respect back. So it was interesting how I've dealt with that scenario, and have dwelled on it, and shouldn't have dwelled on it, but there's a lot going on in my head at the moment, an absolute fucking whirlwind of shit in my head. It's making it very difficult to progress through fucking life at the moment. But I'm continuing on my journey. I'm continuing on my reflection. I do get stressed out. I take a lot more time out of myself, which I know it seems counterintuitive, and you're kind of saying to yourself, you shouldn't take yourself out of situations. You need to be back in situations. But unfortunately, I have to take myself away a little bit so that I don't overreact to situations. And also, I'm looking very heavily on my dad at the moment. I've been doing a lot of work with my dad recently to try and kind of take my mind off it, and he's been messaging me, and I get daily fucking messages from my mate Kieran. So they're checking up on me all the time, which is really good. It's really good. And I'm back in this positive vibe group that I left. I shouldn't have left it, and I left it because I couldn't really deal with positivity. I still struggle at the moment with dealing with positivity after the news I've got. And I know it's created a bit of tension in the group, but I went back in because I was like, I've had a week out and I miss talking to those, my little group of friends. I miss talking to them every day. I miss their hellos. I miss their voices because it was becoming the norm for me and it was enjoyable. Hence the reason what Positive Vibes was all about. We started the group so that we could just check in. It's not a look at me place. It's not anything like that. It's about like making sure that we had somewhere as blokes where we could jump in and say hello, a video message or, a voice message or a text message just to say, morning, have a fucking great day. If you didn't message, it didn't really matter, but check in. Do you know what I mean? And it became a really good place. And I took away from that, and I moved away because I just couldn't deal with positivity. And trust me, that's not the only thing I did. I went on a fucking Facebook rampage of deleting people again, and I just went fucking crazy because I was like, this is how much this news has affected me. So I calmed down, switched everything off, slowed down this weekend, went back into the fucking positive vibes. And I know there's a bit of tension in there with the boys. I get that at the moment. I don't know why. At the moment, I'm a little bit of a delicate place. And I know that we all have our little ups and downs in the group. We're men. We deal with a lot of pressures in life. I know that, my best mate is dealing with fucking his own issues and concerns and big changes coming up in life. I know that Nelly, he's got his own things coming on, and he's changing roles. He's changing big changes in his life, and the Billster as well. I know that he's got a lot going on. So and I know that these are happening, and so it's really important that we create a group, and that's what that's what I've always spoken about, nurturing the right people around you. But it's not just that. It's also like the guy that Luke that I sold this motorbike to. He's been messaging me saying, "How you getting on, mate?" and just keeping in touch. And I think it's just really, really good to have that. It's amazing to have that. And even though today I was hell bent. I wanted to do a podcast today. I wanted to talk to you, just get out there and fucking chuck some scenarios, and just also get back into a routine. I think because I've been lazy for 3 days, which I hate being. It's crazy because I can sit here and spout stuff to you all the time, say, do this, do that, do this helps, I know it helps, I've done it, yeah, great. And then when it comes to the crunch time of actually needing to do these things, like get up and get motivated, go out for the walk, you don't do it unless you're prompted, unless you physically keep in touch with yourself. And I lost my way this weekend. I didn't go out for much walks. I just kind of stared at the fucking screen and I didn't do a lot, really. Just when you reflect back to 3-4 days off, I haven't done a great deal. All right, we all need a little bit of rest and recuperation, and I'm going through a lot. But it was crazy how today I woke up and went, right, today I'm going to get up, I'm going to clean the house, I'm going to fucking clean the bathroom, I'm going to fucking do X, Y, and Z. And then from on that, I just kind of got better. Not better, but I just kind of got back into my flow of things. And I had my little outburst, when we were talking, when all the family came back in the house. And then I just kind of went, okay, I've upset the apple cart. I get that. But these things have to be said. They had to be said. You can't keep going through life not expressing when things aren't right. There's a dynamic change, and you need to acknowledge that. And I think it's more prevalent for me in the sense that, and I don't mean me as in look at me, I mean for me as in me talking, because I am in a house with 4 women. So it is hard work. You deal with a lot of hormones and a lot of emotions, and that alone is hard work, I think, as a man. And I reflect back on my dad and mum talking about my sister. I left early. I left home at 16. My brother left at 16, I think, as well. So there was a long period where my younger sister was in the house, and she's they're kind of going through the problems. I'm going through the problems that they had to a degree with my sister. And I reflect heavily on that, and I just kind of, it makes you, and I see the stress, and I hear about the stress, the times, and this is happening, this was just my sister in the house, and the troubles that they've had, with fucking boys and all this other shit. And I reflect now, and I go, Christ, I've got fucking 3. I've got 3 fucking girls, mate. So I have to change, I have to deal with the dynamic of the house quite quickly. Because I say quite quickly, but I haven't dealt with the dynamic of the house for about a year. I've just kind of let it go, just kind of gone, I'm quite happy in my little zone. But there's a lot changing. We're looking at moving house for a fresh start. And, there's a lot going on. So when you don't hold, you need to be able to hold yourself. It sounds strange, but you do, because you can be manipulated. And like I said, in how I felt earlier, and Friday, when they all just went off and didn't say goodbye to me, I just felt like I was a spare part. I wasn't part of the house. I was like, hold on a minute. I'm contributing a fucking hefty amount. Do you know what I mean? I'm putting a lot into this. I've built a castle, for Christ's sake. Why do I feel like I don't belong here? Why do I feel like I'm a spare part still? What the fuck? I know I went away for 7 years, living away, so to speak, but for me, that's crazy times. I sort of kind of come back, and I kind of slowly got back into life, and I gave it all because wasn't my home. So I've come back into it, and I've kind of gone, okay, well, I'm back in now, and, so I've let it fucking fly, and I've let it go, and I've kind of let them do their bits. But the more I look, I go, if I carry on like this, they're not going to understand the rules of society. I have that duty of care as a parent to do that, let alone the lack of respect that you can get quite quickly for women. They can be quite cutting. And even my wife, who's so laid back and so chilled out, has surprised me, actually, this weekend. But just the way that things have gone. I'm not understanding the anger that I have, It's weird because the news that hit the family, from an emotional perspective, everybody cried, women cried. From a male perspective, from me, and my dad cried actually. But from my perspective, I don't cry anyway. I cried afterwards. Actually, I will say that I did cry when I spoke to my best friend and my dad, because I had so much anger, I didn't know what to do with it. And so yeah, it's just crazy how you can't fully express yourself as a man. So you do have this ball of anger, and you just, especially me, I just want to fucking release this anger. And I know that at the moment I'm a bit of a fucking a half lit, fuse of a fucking firework at the moment, ready to go off. But you do rely heavily on, I think, routine and structure. To be able to stop those things from happening. Like I said, I had the shock, and then I come back, and my car's not very well at the moment. I recently had the brakes done, and now it's showing an EBS sensor. I don't know. There's all sorts going on. So more stress. So it's just kind of like, just keep piling the stress on at the moment. As well as the cost of living going through the roof, and then you think I've got to now repair my car. It was only like 2-3 weeks ago I wanted to sell it, you know what I mean? So I kind of think to myself, I'm going to just get this short repair done and just sell it. I don't want the stress of it. I don't need it because I get everywhere by train. But it's crazy how you can kind of get chucked shit all the time. All the time, men get chucked. We all do. I'm not going to say it's just men and just women. Like I said, I spoke about that statistic the other day. Actually, men and women are on par, but suicide rates are more for men because we don't fucking talk. We don't deal with our problems. We kind of just flash them over. And it's very much, do you know what? It's exactly what I've done this weekend. I haven't spoke to anybody. I've jumped back into my positive vibe, or not my positive, the positive vibes. Rude of me. It was created by Nelly. And I've jumped back in there, and I can feel there's a little bit of tension amongst the group that needs to be relieved a little bit. And that's probably caused by me, because I am a little bit touchy at the moment. It's hard for me to see positivity when, I'm very, very negative against the world in general. So it's kind of like, it's kind of like one of those ones, where you just want to be asked if you're okay, and that's it. You're like, yeah, I'm good, thanks for asking, mate, and just move on. Once you've been asked if you're okay, it's kind of like a nice feeling. But I've done that. This weekend. I've just hidden away. I've shut myself away, and I've just dwelled. I've slept. I've exhausted myself through overthinking. So I've slept a lot. But at the same time, the things that have kept me going are the people that are around me. Like I said, getting text messages. Billy sent me a photo this morning. He's got a gift. He's sending over to me, and I'm going to send a gift over to him. Send a gift through the mail to him, which is going to be a handmade gift. He knows part of it, but I've got two. I've got something else. Got a little cheeky number for his bar as well. So, I've got a couple of little things going over, but that really perked me up, and then like you said, I've got a text message off Luke, who bought my bike. He's such a fucking gentleman. And we were talking about our dogs and all that sort of stuff, and we've kind of both weirdly got a countdown going for him to get to do his bike test. But I like it. I think the guy's a genuine guy. I like to think I'm a genuine guy, and he's open and honest, and that you're naturally, when you are open and honest, you draw the right people in. We spoke about this, and he was the guy that said that. And like I said, I got Kieran checking in on me daily. I mean, I wasn't in on Friday. My dad didn't know, and he saw me offline all day because we both work in the same organisation. And he said, I don't like it when you're offline all day. And I went, all right, sorry. He goes, I said, I was out. And he went, but he checked in on me. He literally messaged me and said, is everything okay? I was like, yeah, I'm good, Dad. Yeah, cheers. Thanks for asking. Went over and seen him. He offered me over for a beer, on Friday afternoon to help him do the thing. He said, just come over and help me with the thing. So, because he's looking after me. He's trying to keep my head above the water, so to speak. And I suppose it's probably because he knows what I'm like, and I am kind of that blue touch paper. Once I fucking get lit, if I'm in a negative place, horrible place, it's a fucking whirlwind. So I don't try to get there. I try to deal with things. And by dealing with things, I mean, I'm talking to certain people. And like I said, I've got each individual of my friends, they all bring something to the party, and that's why I've got, this little nice sort of kind of close network of people. And I know that I can go to them for certain things. I've got a lot of time for everybody. And that's because I've looked after them and they've looked after me. So it's really important, and that's what's kept me going. And today I went, no, James, fucking stop it. Get up and sort yourself out. So I did. I got up and sorted myself out. Went out for a nice long walk this morning, cleaned the fucking house. All right, yeah, there was a negative bit in the middle. But here I am now. It's given me the structure and the strength to talk to you on a podcast. And that's what it's about. And that's why it's so easy with depression. And the reason I'm highlighting this, I suppose, is because it's so easy with depression, stress, anxiety, to just shut yourself away. And I did that this weekend, but all it did was made me feel fat, lazy. It made me feel more tired than I've ever been, even though I can probably say I've gone from not sleeping, but I've probably accumulatively slept for most of the weekend on and off. I'll have 15 minutes and then a 20-minute awake for a drink, sit back down, fall asleep again, kind of watch an hour or 2 hours of TV, go to sleep for half an hour, bit like that. And that's what it's been, sporadic, which is awful. But that's what you do when you go into a dark place. And there'll be people that can probably relate to that right now listening, saying, I can relate to that. That's what I fucking do. Well, you're doing the wrong thing. And that's what we need to stop. And that's what we need to grasp. It's not doing that. Breaking the norm. Breaking the cycle is what I'm going to say. We need to break that cycle of depression because it just goes on for longer. And ultimately, it made me an unapproachable person today. I think I was justified, though, in my reaction because of the way I was treated. And that's important for me to acknowledge that, because it just highlights that the smallest of things can affect you if you're in the wrong place. And men and women deal with things differently. There's an emotional side, and then men deal with things in an angry emotion side. So there is different. Not all men are like that. I know I'm not categorizing us all the same, but most men do. Most men have got testosterone and stuff like that, so they get their angry aspect. But we deal with things differently. Really differently, and it's important to acknowledge that, and that kind of draws me in. So and that's what I mean by having the right people to talk about, having the right people around you, and being looked after, I think, is the most important thing. But if you're going to do what I've done this weekend, which is just shut myself away and just ignore the world, which is the wrong thing to do, and just literally not even, I think for 2 days, I think it was nearly 2 days I didn't eat. I literally just, what did I eat? Actually, I did. I had one piece of toast on Saturday and about 3 or 4 gins. That was my dinner for the day. And then I had a fruit shake on Sunday and about 3 or 4 gins. That was my consumption. And today I was like shaking because I shut down completely. And that's the negativity. That's the bit we're trying to avoid, is shutting down to that degree. But it's so easy to do when you have mental health problems. It's so easy to just shut yourself away and just go, it's easier if I just shut all the curtains, put the fan on me and watch fucking shit TV. I don't have to stress, I don't have to think about anything. But then when you do have to think about things, bam, you might as well just fucking run headfirst into a fucking back of a bus that's stationary, because that's what it's going to hit you like. It's going to hit you like that. You're not going to be able to deal with it, and everything's going to be tetchy, everything's going to be emotional, everything's going to be horrible. So, and that's what it's been like today. Although I'm talking to you and I'm trying to get out there and talk, and it's been hard work, and even my walks with the dog have been hard work. I haven't done the full extent, and even my little TikTok thing I do, I enjoy that. I haven't done that either. I did one yesterday just to try and force myself. But it was it's hard work when you do that, but it's easy work when you do the right things. So when I do get up and the proper time, have a shower, keep my routine, go for my reflection walks, do my meditation, etc., 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 as we talk about all the time. Once I do that, it becomes the norm. So I had to do that today. I had to get up this morning. I got up this morning at 8 o'clock, which was late for me, but I thought it is a day off, so I want to still feel like a day off. And then I carried on my routine. The only change in the routine was me expressing my feelings in my household. That's the only difference. And then after that, I kind of went, I think I was justified. I'm going to stand by my justification and, move on my day. And what it did is, like I said, it gave me the strength to talk to you today. It gave me that attitude to come. And like I said, I even started the podcast with, is this going to be a depressing podcast? Quite possibly an element of it, because there's a lot going on. Or is it going to be an informative podcast? Possibly. There's a lot going on. I just didn't even know what direction I was going to take. But I suppose the direction I'm taking is just, I'm thankful at the moment. I'm very thankful that I have, this is more of a thankful in the sense that I'm happy that I've built the skill set to help me deal with these things. And like I said, I've been in this little dull, shitty area now for 3 days. Would I have still been in this area if I'd have had my family around me? I wouldn't have done. I think I would have dealt with it on the Friday, and it would have been done and dusted. It would have either spoilt the weekend, or it wouldn't have done. And either way, though, I still would have done my routine, because there's nothing changed. The fact that I had the ability to shut myself away was very easy for me. The only thing, like I said, that kept me focused on just not doing completely nothing was talking to my friends. And then today I was like, okay, sort your shit out, mate. Get the fuck up and get on with this routine that works. And I did that. And what that did was that pushed me and helped me to get to this point today, which is geared and ready for tomorrow to be a better day. And that's what I suppose this is. I'm thankful because of the people I've got around me. Despite our little tensions, like I said, I will address my little positive vibes tension at the moment. I get it. I don't know. I do get it and I don't get it. I think there's it's just one of those ones. I get why there's a little bit of tension. But it's one of those things. It's not meant to be there. I think the heat hasn't helped. And I think there's a lot of change in the group in terms of we've all got different things going on at the moment. And I know each and individual problems. And maybe I haven't been geared up to saying, how are you, as much as I'm waiting for someone to say, how are you to me? So it's probably a little bit of my fault as well. And I accept that. And that's what it's beautiful. See, that's beautiful to think that. To analyse that. I haven't engaged with them, so why the fuck should they engage with me? I left the group and vice versa. I think I'm justified. Again, I'm going to defend myself. I think I'm justified in my reaction. However, if you don't live that reaction, and I wouldn't want anyone to, you don't know how you're going to deal with that situation. So I think that's where it's difficult for me to be too negative and harsh towards myself, because I didn't know how to react. But at the same time, I acknowledge, and this is where reflection comes in. This is where talking openly, spoke rather posh there, talking openly helps me, because it gets me to understand, actually, fucking hell, James, maybe you're being part of the problem here. So look inwards, and that's where this is the self-reflecting thing. It's beautiful to do. And that's what routine and reflection does for me. And that's why I'm thankful, because I've got the right people around me that's still engaging with me, despite my mood swings, etc. They're still engaging. And the processes that I've implemented, just that are such an easy process to do, is a great feeling, because it gives you the strength to move forward quite quickly. So yeah, fantastic. I'm just thankful, I suppose. And I don't want to undo this 40 minutes of hard work here. So I'm just going to finish on something, though. I've been watching a little bit at the moment, and I've been seeing a lot of the dynamic change in the aggression towards men at the moment. And in terms of men are getting hit quite hard at the moment, because we're actively talking about our mental health. And I've seen quite a few, not disturbing, because that's quite a horrible word, but I suppose they are disturbing, photos of women basically saying that, men are privileged, etc., and, men, they get to do what they like, and they don't feel stress. And there's a lot of negativity out there at the moment. All I'd do is just, if you see, I've not reacted to it, actually. because I don't want to react to it, because number one, it's clickbait, and number two, I don't believe it's true, because I think we all go through our mental health problems. I just think that the journey that specifically I'm passionate about is getting us to talk. So I just want people to just listen and just ignore the way that people are still being made to feel. Carry on the strengths to talk and be open about your mental health, your well-being, just genuinely your life. I find it really fascinating when I can hear about somebody talking about something they're passionate about, or I listening to them about their life. I know it's very difficult because, we don't meet up as much as we used to in terms of society anymore because of the pandemic, but that'll slowly come back and we'll slowly get that back. But make sure you stay in touch with your friends. Make sure you ask them how they are routinely. Make sure that you do it back, though. Make sure it's returned. Make sure everyone's okay. Because it's very easy, even though I'm going through my own journey at the moment, it's very easy for me to be selfish. It's very easy to me to not think about the other person, which is what I've done here. And I can actively see that. I've shut myself down in a week when people may have needed me. And that was very wrong of me. And I've probably reacted emotionally because of the news. But I need to grasp that, because at the end of the day, as I've said all the way along this last 8 months, is you need the people around you, but they also rely on you. I'm quite lucky and fortunate that we have got there's 4 or 5 of us in this group. So it's kind of nice that, even though that I was a little bit of a wonky donkey leg for a little while, that people have still kept it going. But I've noticed that, I don't want the dynamic to change. So make sure you look after each other. Make sure you ask each other how they're doing and how they've been, because you don't know, they might be going through something themselves that might seem trivia to you, but might be the end of the world to them, for instance. So we need to be cautious of that and make sure that we help each other as much as we can. Ignore the media, ignore the way that this is being pushed. Carry on being open, carry on being honest, carry on talking. I think it's sometimes, a lot of the time I do get hesitations. I do get a little bit reserved, actually, because over the weekend in my dark place, I have reflected on my TikTok, and I'm putting myself out there to thousands and millions of people. And, I do my podcast and I talk about myself openly. Although you don't see my face, you get my voice. And sometimes I like to say, when I'm in a dark place or in a horrible place, I think I just want to delete that and just fucking miss a mistake, move on. But I'm trying to fight that because I want to help people. I want to make a change. I want to reduce this massive suicide rate for men. I want us to be able to talk about our problems and try and find a way out of these, find a solution. It's really important that we do that, but we can only do that together. So I'll leave it on that. Thank you very much for listening. Sorry I've been away for a little bit, but I am back and back into the routine of life, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Take care, everyone, and have a positive day.